Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with NETGEAR. Today's host is Jordan Cooper. He is their Territory Account Manager for California and Texas. He will be presenting today, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and Jordan will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Jordan, thank you so much for being with us today. I am finished for now. Go ahead and take it on over.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Julie, and thanks for that introduction. Yep, my name is Jordan, and I am the Commercial Account Manager for California and Texas. And today we're going to be talking about, more specifically, about our wireless portfolio when it comes time to NETGEAR. NETGEAR offers a diverse amount of products ranging from switches, routers, access points, storage, security, and so there's a lot to talk about, but I wanted to have today's focus to be primarily on Insight and our wireless portfolio. So just in case people, I'm sure a lot of you will know who NETGEAR is, probably because of a home router that you have, but here's some company information. 1.4 billion net revenue in 2018. We're still waiting on the 2019 numbers to come out, but we have a little over 1,000 employees. We have offices in about 25 countries, and we're headquarters out in Silicon Valley and in California. And we're also a public company, so we are traded on the NASDAQ. So kind of what this means is NETGEAR is a big enough company to do great things and have great product line, but yet we're small enough and lean enough to keep it affordable. Anytime someone thinks of NETGEAR as far as the business side of things, the best part that I want you to think of is NETGEAR is designed for the SMB, the small to medium business market. And what separates NETGEAR from other SMB, product people companies that create products for the SMB field is NETGEAR focuses really heavily on reliability. A lot of our products have a lifetime limited warranty. If it's not a lifetime limited warranty, at the very least, it'd be a 5-year warranty. We have next day business replacement for products, and we've been providing solutions for businesses since 1996. Another great thing is NETGEAR really wants to stay affordable. A fraction of the cost for traditional big IT vendors, some of the big names out there. And we have an ability to scale and grow as your business grows. So the more demand you need for, faster speeds and a stronger network, we absolutely have the ability to do so, while at the same time reducing your operating expenses. And then finally, what we also like to pride ourselves on is that we are easy to use. A lot of our stuff doesn't require any, and I would probably say 99% of it doesn't require any sort of training, any sort of learning. It's a lot of it's plug and play. We really make it user friendly, not just for end users, but for resellers as well. We find that the easier it is to use it, the more time saved and the least frustration, least frustrating way happens. So on to the next slide. So here's when we're talking about NETGEAR's on the wireless side of things. Let's kind of talk a little bit about the history and know where NETGEAR is at compared to history and where it's going. As we know that kind of as business realm things kind of got introduced there, you first had your standard access point that had its limitations, but it was a simple installation and kind of your basic security. And then I call this the old standard because it is old, but as technology progressed, it came out with ways to manage multiple access points in case the one access point didn't have enough coverage. And those are our access points that we have, our WAC 740, 30, and 20. These are managed via either ensemble mode or an actual physical controller, as you can see on the bottom right hand right here. As technology kind of progressed, we got towards more of this cloud management. Now, NETGEAR wasn't the first to do it, but we're absolutely in the race to do it. We feel that our cloud management separates us from a lot of other competitors out there. This cloud management, we have 4 access points currently right now that can be managed via this cloud. And this cloud no longer takes the need for a physical controller. So it does help save cost there. And for the future, so you guys know the future, if you haven't heard already, wireless AX or Wi-Fi 6 is coming out. and although things are playing catch up with devices that can also do Wi-Fi 6, but know that NETGEAR has already implemented, and we already have some home routers that do Wi-Fi 6 or AX, and it is in the roadmap and soon to be introduced, probably later this year, that we will have some Insight cloud management for Wi-Fi 6. So have some reassurance that NETGEAR knows where that's going and knows where the market's going and is prepared and is ready to take that on. So let's kind of talk a little bit about NETGEAR's Insight. NETGEAR's Insight, what we really want it to be about is about time saving with a peace of mind and with anywhere visibility. So the great thing with Insight that might be different from our competitors is it doesn't require any additional hardware or software or servers, to be managed remotely. And as you can kind of see, we have some ranges here of products that can be managed. But when we talk about the time saving, what does it do when it comes time to time saving? Well, it automates device discovery, fast and easy device configuration, and one-touch installation. So this is where it comes with the ease of use and easy installation, plug and play type things. Peace of mind, you can constantly monitor your Wi-Fi activity. When things go down, you'll receive notifications and you have the ability to act rapidly. Reboot devices and upgrade firmwares too are a big piece of it. Anywhere visibility, this allows multiple sites that if you have multiple offices in different, whether it's in different states or even different countries, you can manage all those from a single pane of glass. This involves with the remote monitoring, and you can see a device list with an instant status. You can see all your devices, whether that's an access point or a switch or a router through an instant status, and see everything up and running. This Insight is limited to the specific product line: smart switches, wireless access points, and our routers. And so we're going to dive into that wireless access point of things for the sake of time. And I also don't believe in death by PowerPoint. So we may kind of briefly go over some things in the next few slides, or we might kind of talk in depth about them. But here is the hardware, those 4 switches that you saw on the earlier slides that we have. So we first have our WAC 505. This is our least expensive switch. It's a high-speed dual band 2x2 wireless AC access point. It's AC 1200. This will do about 2,500 square feet of coverage. So that's a really good, strong amount of coverage we feel with about 100 users is what it's rated to. So this is an awesome thing to go into maybe a small deployment that there's not a whole lot of heavy usage. The next one that we have is our WAC 510. This is going to be very similar to our WAC 505. However, the primary difference between these two is the WAC 510 is going to have one LAN and one WAN port. Anybody who knows what a WAN port is, that's where you're going to have your router functionality. This will do DHCP server / NAT, network address translation. So this will be able to act as a router. And this does have a basic firewall built in. So again, this is good for your small, maybe mom and pop deployment who, don't need no totally strong UTM firewall, just need something basic and something simple. Then we have this beast here. We call it the beast because this one is fairly new, came out within the last 6 months, and is super awesome. The new hot technology that everyone's talking about and that you see everywhere is this mesh. And this does have the ability to have a mesh network with seamless roaming. It does do load balancing and beamforming. If you don't know what those are, I'd highly recommend looking those up and seeing what are the great benefits and why you want those within your wireless side of things. This also does have a high performance. So this has a 3 gigabyte throughput with up to 600 users. So that's very, very awesome to note, because on all these ports here, I want to note that every single LAN port on these are going to be your standard 1 gig. This has a 3 gigabyte throughput, and up and down, if you have multiple, when you're connecting to your router to your additional access points, it's got to share that 3 gigabyte throughput. So you're actually going to have a 1.2 gigabyte backbone, wireless backbone. So what that means is if your port's gig and the wireless is 1.2, well, we've reached the day in technology where you are now faster wireless on these than you would be wired. So that's awesome to think, and that's awesome to see that actually coming to fruition and happening. And this does have a MoveMemo capability as well. And then finally, we came out with our WAC 564. This is very similar to this in performance as far as what it can do. It still can do the instant mesh and everything like that. The only difference with this is this actually has an integrated 4 ports on the back that are 1 gig. So if you need some more ports to plug into something rather than just the one, this is a great go-to for that. So obviously this goes from the least expensive to the most expensive, but again, NETGEAR aims on being cost effective. And so all these are still going to be in the ballpark of some of the competitors out there at a third of the cost of some of the higher end and enterprise level competitors. Now, Insight it is a subscription based. So let's kind of talk about that. Insight, since it is a subscription based, there are 3 plans. You first have your basic. This is $4.99 per device, and that's per year, ladies and gentlemen, per year, not per month. And that $4.99 is for an access point, is for a switch, is for a router, anything that can do Insight. This basic plan limits you to just an app. It comes with a mobile app that's a free download on both the iOS and Android. And you can have some basic management functionality to it. And this is a good to say, I want to keep my firmware update. I want to see what's up and running, and just kind of don't go too in depth with my network, but know what's going on in the network. Then you have your premium. This premium is $10 per device per year. And the difference is you still get all of this, what comes with basic. However, you also are able to go onto a desktop version. Go to insight.netgear.com and log in through there. And because it's on an actual website, you get a little bit more in-depth on configurations. So that's where you can do like radius authentication, PoE scheduling, and a couple more features that are just limited to the desktop version only. And then finally, we have the Pro version. This Pro version is for our resellers or MSPs only. So if you are a reseller looking to get into the cloud management, Insight is a great way to achieve what you want to have when it comes time to cloud management. Insight's been around for about 2.5 years, and during that time, we've taken a lot of feedback from our resellers and from MSPs on what they like about competitors or what they don't like about competitors, and really take that and incorporate that into our platform. And so we feel at this point in time, it has gone through that refining fire and has gotten to a point where it has everything you want it to have and nothing more than you don't. So if you're an MSP, or even if you're not an MSP, right, Insight has value to you, right? If you're an MSP, Insight is a way to get some recurring revenue to raise profitability. Something it's an RMR, a monthly recurring revenue stream. So incoming money without having to just do it one time and install and be done. Right. Leverage cloud to reduce investment. This is where, hey, you no longer need a controller and licensing for that controller and to keep having to pay for those things. This is just a one-time purchase for the device, and then the annual subscription, and that's it. Insight is designed to automate and replicate tasks to increase efficiency. As you grow, you need more management. You need to see more things and maybe set up a more granularity on your network, and this has the ability to do it. And then finally, Insight's value is to do proactive monitoring to improve customer satisfaction, or if you're the end user using it, to improve your satisfaction. But if you're an MSP and a reseller, then it would be to keep customer retention up high. So at the end of the day, what it's designed to is increase profit by increasing your revenue, and lowering your overall total cost. We call it TCO, or total cost of ownership. There's a lot of other companies out there that might have a higher total cost of ownership, and NETGEAR tries to be that the most affordable and best solution all around. And you don't just have to take NETGEAR's word for it, that we feel that Insight is very different compared to other competitors out there. In fact, NETGEAR did send out and paid for a survey from a couple companies. One of them is called the Tully Group. These guys are a third-party, independent comparison company that will compare products. So NETGEAR, about maybe a year and a half ago, NETGEAR paid the Tully, and they said, "Hey, what do you think of our product line compared?" And we compared ourselves to Ubiquity, which is a very well known, and a little less maybe lesser known Zyxel, or Zyxel, however you want to say it. And what ended up coming up was Insight was rated number one. And it was rated number one for a different, they went through all the feature sets that it could do and what others could do and kind of rated how ours was different on a good, excellent, or poor kind of scale. And it was rated number one. And then after a couple months that we got this report, we're like, we're number one, awesome. The one thing that we got back was, hey, that's awesome that you compared yourself to Ubiquity and Zyxel, but we don't really know who Zyxel is, but what else is known out there is Cisco's Meraki. I love Meraki. Meraki does great things, and I'll never bash Cisco's Meraki. They do awesome work. They just maybe have a little more focused on the enterprise level. And because of that, we said, hey, let's do a test. Let's compare ourselves on how we fare up to both Ubiquity and Meraki. So we paid another third-party independent company called Mircom. And they did their own testing, and as you can see, it says, based upon our observations, we found that the NETGEAR Insight Pro product line and cloud-based control provided the best value and very efficient ground-up, multi-tenant, multi-location platform for central management of SMB sites. So I'm not going to obviously read through the whole things, but here's some of their findings, their key findings about Insight. Mircom said, hey, your plug-and-play setup, multi-tenant and multi-location, awesome. Your workload distribution across multiple roles, whether you're an admin or whether you have owner rights or whatever, awesome. And so we went through all this stuff, and here's what it basically kind of looks like if you were to look it up and pull it. And these reports, FYI, are published on our website, and they're absolutely, you can go there at any time and take a look. But here's in essence what they look like from them. It asks questions like, how easy is it to create an organization, organizational users and permissions, and it rated ours compared to Ubiquity and Meraki. And as you can see, this is a third party company as well. So it's not that NETGEAR's paying these people to tell us what we want to hear. And we came out, and basically, how easy is it to do all these things and how great is it? As you can see, we score excellent on all of these. And there's even more. We score excellent on even more of these. How long to deploy first and second locations? It's excellent. Does the GUI have links to help relevant help contact? Excellent. And right here, total cost of ownership. We have the lowest total cost of ownership over the course of time between Ubiquity and Meraki. So NETGEAR, we feel that we are in the business for the SMB. We feel we have a great play, especially when it comes to our wireless and our switches side of things. And we want to show you, if at any time you guys want to test out these products or see for yourself, we encourage you to do so. We have multiple videos online showing the ease of setting it up. We have an Insight specialist here, and when we hired him on, he's not a network engineer by any means, but we gave him the challenge, and we said, hey, here's an access point, here's a router, go home, and here's a switch. And we said, go home and set up a lab. And this is a person who knows enough to be dangerous and maybe break things, but definitely no engineer by trade. And he came back the next day, and he said, I had that set up within about 30 minutes. And he even said, even with that 30 minutes, it would have realistically taken him 20 minutes, but he didn't believe he set it up that quick. And he spent about 10 minutes looking over things and making sure that if it truly was set up or if he had missed a step, because everything seemed to be just working so fine. Kind of one of the things that, is this really happening or did I miss something? So we encourage you guys to try it out and see for yourself and see how you feel and see the NETGEAR difference. So that is all the time that I have for this presentation. Julie, I'll turn it back over to you. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Jordan, for that wonderful presentation. And it looks like we do have some questions for you. Let's get started with the first one. Question here says, is your tech support line 24/7, and can we call you at any time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Our tech support is 24/7. We do have 2 tiers of tech support. The first one is your standard tech support. If you want to talk to tier 2 tech support, they'll do the actual troubleshooting and right away, and they can help you right then and there. You can pay for that. It's called pro support. You can pay. We sell that in a 1, 3 year, and 5 year, and that'll be able to get you right to tier 2 who can answer some questions. To answer the question of can I don't know if maybe that was directed maybe towards me, but NETGEAR does have, and many people may not know this, but NETGEAR does have a pre-sale support line for commercial products. So if you were like, hey, you know what, I just want to talk to somebody from NETGEAR. I haven't bought something yet, but I want to look at it. I'm not sure what to buy or where to start, but I know I'd like to incorporate NETGEAR somehow, some way. We love calls like that, and we'd be more than happy to hop on a call, and we can even grab an engineer. NETGEAR has 3 engineers in the entire United States specifically for NETGEAR, and I have 2 of them in my office. So based upon that, we can easily grab somebody, have them hop on a line, and go into the depths of what you need and how to make it work and what's the most efficient and cost-effective way to make that happen. So whether it's pre-sales that you need help with, or if it's tech support that you need, we've got you covered.
Excellent,
Next
Jordan.
question.
Thank you so much for that. Next question here. For your WAC devices, what special program can you use to utilize this for business that would be competitive for our customers?
Yeah, so if I understand that question correctly, and I hope I'm not misinterpreting to that question, let's go kind of back maybe to these right here. Competitive obviously would be like our Ubiquiti, would be Datto or SolarWinds or Meraki, if you will. But if your customer, if you're an MSP or reseller, and your customer is in the SMB field, they may not know of other options. When Insight was founded, and I'll give a little background, and hopefully this will help answer that question a little bit more. But when NETGEAR was being introduced, at that time, there really was just Meraki and there was Ubiquiti. And so if you were a reseller, or even if you were an end user, your options were you could either go with a great product like Cisco, but pay a little bit of a heavier price tag and maybe an annual or every 3 years or some sort of licensing fee, and which can be kind of costly. Or it was go with Ubiquiti. Ubiquiti, if you don't know, or maybe you do know, Ubiquiti doesn't really offer a whole lot of support. A lot of stuff they have to find online through like their articles or forums, or you can chat with somebody. And so some people that were like, I don't really like that either, but it is a good price point. So NETGEAR kind of said, why don't we make that our play? Why don't we have 80 to 90% of what a Cisco Meraki can do, but let's have it at a price tag that's similar and pretty close and competitive with Ubiquiti. So if your end users are asking things about that, they may have heard of Cisco because of the name, they may have heard of Ubiquiti because of the price point. NETGEAR is that perfect in between, that just right kind of spot. So I hope that answered that question.
You did. Thank you so much, Jordan. Next question here for you. What are the maximum wireless speed for the WAC devices?
Yeah, so obviously if you're going to wire it in, right? If you're going to wire it in, the max speed you're going to see is 1 gig. If you're going to wireless, this will do it's AC 1200, so it'll do 867 on the 5, and 300 on the 2.4 on the wireless side of things. And again, if you're running wireless with that wireless backbone, you can see up to 1.2 gigabytes per second on those. So that would probably be the maximum speed on running wireless.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Jordan. Next question here for you. So if one is paying for the subscription, does that mean that the warranty on the devices are also unlimited?
So the hardware, let's talk about, there's 2 technically warranties, if you will, right? You have the hardware warranty. The hardware warranty, even if you're paying for the subscription, the hardware is still limited to the 5-year or limited lifetime. I believe these are going to be the 5-year. And the only reason why it's going to be the 5 years is because since these are based upon the internet and cloud management, if anything were to drastically change with the internet or the way that we utilize the internet, these we wouldn't be able to honor these. We'd have to readapt to whatever those changes were. On the on the other warranty side of things, maybe if you're talking about maybe tech support, yeah, as long as you have this device, even if it's over that 5-year time frame, you should still be able to call in and get some tech support if you've been paying for that, or if you're a reseller, and if you were a partner with NETGEAR, it comes with that. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Jordan, so much. A couple more questions. Next one here. Does every unit come with the cloud system built in, or is a controller still required?
Oh, I love that. Great question. So these products do have the cloud built in. Ubiquiti uses a cloud key, but there's nothing else needed. It's built onto the device. So we call it a true cloud. The great thing that we got back from our resellers and from people utilizing this was, hey, if I don't want to pay for that Insight cloud management, how do I manage these? And we said, hey, these can be managed these can be managed locally. These won't work with a controller, so you would have to kind of go individually. But one thing that NETGEAR we pride ourselves on was we're not tying you down to you have to have this cloud management in order to manage it and make it work. This was a big benefit for the MSPs and resellers who maybe manage these. If they are managing for a certain amount of time and then their end user says, you know what, maybe I don't need you. The devices still will work and still can be managed locally. You just don't have the remote manageability anymore. And vice versa. I have a lot of resellers and a lot of people will start implementing these and start putting these in, whether they're going to be, whether their end user has decided, hey, I do want you to manage it remotely. If they're a little bit on the fence and they haven't decided yet, or even if they've told you no for now, you can still put these in. And then when that time comes that they call you up and say, hey, you know what, this is a bigger deal than I thought. It's a lot more complicated. Can you just take this over? You say, sure can. You put in the serial number on your Insight platform there through the app or through the desktop version, and you're good to go. And it launches and it says, oh, yep, I see it's up, and you have the remote manageability right away. The other key thing that I think would be important to touch on as well too, we call our licenses liquid, completely liquid, meaning we sell our licenses in a 1 year, a 5 year, a 3 year, I even think a 10 year, but don't quote me on that. But I know we do sell them in multiple packages for years. And let's say you sign up a customer who might be at one time committed to, let's say, 1 year, and 6 months in, this end user says, you know what, I'm done with you, I cut you. Well, you paid for this 1 year license to manage it, hoping that was going to be the case. Well, if they end up cutting you, that license is not tied down to that specific product or to that AP or switch. That license becomes available to use for another 6 months for wherever, whether that's your home use or whether that's for a totally different client. That becomes, so we like to say it's liquid in the means of you can take that license and take that license off and move it somewhere else and still have it for the lifetime of that license. So if that remaining life is, a year, if 6 months, 2 years, you can move it anywhere else.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Jordan. Couple more questions here for you. Where are all your devices manufactured? And if we have to return anything, can we get a return label for a repair, for example?
Yeah, good questions. All our products, I should say, maybe majority of them are manufactured in China. We like to say they come off the same line with everybody else, like Meraki's and things like that. To answer that question of a return, if you do the return, there's a couple options on it. It depends on where you purchased it, and that's going to be a real key factor. Because if you purchase something and it ends up being gray market or ends up being used, that might change some things and void warranties. But if everything was perfect, you bought it from a reputable source, such as Microcom, and you had an issue, there's a couple ways you could handle the return for you. I don't believe that NETGEAR would pay for a label to send it back, but we would pay and then have it shipped and cover the cost to ship it back to you for the replacement. If you bought it through Microcom and Microcom, since they are an awesome partner with NETGEAR, they have some means of taking care of that for you as well. but I believe that they still would have to have the prepaid label to ship it back to us.
Excellent. Thank you, Jordan. Last question here for you. If somebody mentions that the UNMS from Ubiquity is free, there is no charge, what would you say in comparison to NETGEAR's Insight?
Yeah, so if they say it's free, it's going to cost from somewhere, whether that's maybe the cloud key, right? If you might have not a monthly management or a yearly management cost, but you do have to have a cloud key. That cloud key, I'm not up to date on the exact price. I believe somewhere it was in the ballpark of 75, 80 bucks, maybe even up to 100 bucks. But I would take a look and say, hey, what's also important to you? If you're managing maybe, let's say, 4 devices, and you're paying, let's say, that $40 for that premium service, is that $40 a year? You can do that for 2 years to cover probably about the cost of that cloud key. And for additional time, you also can say, hey, what's it worth? What value is it worth to you that you have a better warranty? I believe Ubiquity is like a 1 year, where ours is going to be that 5 year. Better support and tech support, and that you can actually talk to somebody. I would stress the values of, hey, you know what, even if you're not paying for the licenses, there's still limitations there where NETGEAR might be a little bit better on, and that would be the support and the warranty and the name of us, and everybody knows that NETGEAR has really great wireless products, and so I would probably stress that for the little bit of the cost difference. Again, you're talking $5, maybe $10 per device per year, and I would imagine it wouldn't be super substantial cost difference to turn somebody away and say, oh, I still would rather pay nothing, and go with the lack of issues to save up the cost. Most people, in my experience, especially with my resellers, when they pitch it and they say those exact same things, 9 out of 10 times they say, hey, I like NETGEAR would be the better option, and it's worth paying that additional yearly cost, even if that's a little bit more, for what I get in return. That's the warranty and the support and the name and things like that. But great question.
Excellent. Thank you so much for answering all those questions for us this morning, Jordan. And thank you to everyone for attending today. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Jordan, thank you so much for your time and all of your informative information and presentation today. And until next time, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.